Hello, Carey Hodsden PGA here with X Golf Chesapeake for Common Sense Golf. Um, Today I want to talk about really briefly a chipping and pitching technique that is kind of like cracking the code, okay, for solid pitching strikes and solid chipping strikes. We're going to focus today on the pitching aspect of it. Now, I got this tip from a really great friend of mine, another PGA golf professional, who really helped me understand this. One of my students, Omar Uresti, PGA, who's probably one of the most consistent club professional PGA guys, used to be full time on the PGA Tour. Um, he just has one of the most amazing short games you've ever seen. He and another buddy of mine, PGA professional John Corliss, PGA, both believe that you need to come slightly across the golf ball on your pitching shots, which are shots that go up in the air and then land on the green, usually from about 60 yards and in, 60 yards to maybe 10 yards. And then from 10 yards and in, we're most of the time we're mostly chipping, which means we're trying to get the ball on the ground and roll out to get to the target. Pitching, we're trying to carry it, a distance, usually at least 1/3 of the way, sometimes half the way, sometimes 2/3 of the way, or even 3/4 of the way if we have to hit a flop shot in the air, and then the ball's going to land and then roll to the target or stop with spin, depending on what type of shot we're hitting. So it's really important for you to understand that the idea behind this is to hit the golf ball first, okay, and then drive through the golf ball. Now, how do we do that? Very tricky little feeling that most of us have trouble with. In other lessons, I have told you that one way to feel this is to point the club. So when I say point the club, when we have the club and we're sitting here at a address right now, the club is basically pointing at the ball or just behind the golf ball, right? So when we come back in, I want you to feel like you're pointing the club again to that same position, okay? The only problem with only pointing the pointing the club is kind of the 101 version versus we're going to get into kind of a little bit more of a 201, 301 version here. So kind of the next step up in our little college course for chipping here. We're going to get into a position here where we can come across the golf ball a little bit with our pitching, okay? And we're still going to be pointing the club. Pointing the club is just a feeling, okay? But it also actually works. But I want you to also feel like your hands are slightly ahead and that you're coming slightly across the golf ball as you're pitching, okay? So what we do is we get our weight forward, so we can hit the pitch shot. We want to pivot around our lead leg, which if you're a right-hander is your left leg. You want to pivot around that, and then you want your hands to lead, and then you also want to come slightly across the golf ball. John Corliss PGA told me that the best way the way he feels it, and I think Omar Uresti feels the same way, is that we try to come across the golf ball 1%. Okay, so in a perfect world, if you're coming down the line with a golf ball and the club comes straight back and straight through, that would be 0%. If we're coming slightly inside and inside to out, we're always going to feel like that's slightly inside to out. It could be like 1 to 5%. What we want to do for pitch shots is we want to come slightly across the golf ball. No matter how open the club face is, or how closed the club face is, or square it is, we want to feel like we're coming slightly across the golf ball and then swinging across to the left. I feel like it's about 1%, okay? So for us, we come back, we come slightly across the golf ball. So we're coming into the golf ball like normal, then we come slightly across the golf ball off to the left. This promotes a downward stroke because our weight is toward our lead side, and it promotes hit the golf ball first, even if it's a little thin, it's okay. Hit the golf ball first and drive through it off to the left, okay? The reason we do this is to make solid contact no matter what the surface is. You can use this technique, and it's a tremendous technique. You can use this technique off of mud. You can use it on hardpan. You can use it on softer ground, like sand, slightly sandy ground. You can use it on zoysia. You can use it on bent grass, really tight, firm lies, okay, or tight, wet lies. It'll work on anything as long as you come slightly across the golf ball and then use the bounce on the bottom of the club, which I'll get into another lesson. But it's not something you really have to think about right now. What you really need to think about is setting your weight forward, and then taking the club back, and then coming slightly across the golf ball from the inside, okay? So it looks something like this. We take it back here, okay? See how my weight is forward. We take it back here. We don't shift our weight to the back, to our trail side. So we take it back here, and then as we're coming in, you'll note that my right elbow comes in underneath my sternum here, okay? That allows me to get into a position where my hands are leading, and then I'm going to come slightly across the golf ball as I turn my hips, okay? It'll look something like this, okay? And that's going to keep, if I come slightly across the golf ball, that's going to keep that low hands type of feel. It's also going to keep my hand open and not closed or flipped or early released or whatever you want to call it to hit your pitch shots. If you start throwing your hands this way, you're toast, okay? You're going to hit some bad shots. Most likely a lot of chunks, some blades, lots of shanks, okay? So easier to look at it this way. I'm going to do this one more time for you. I'm going to open the face this time so that you can see it works no matter what. This ball will go up in the air a little bit, and it'll have more spin, and it'll stop quicker, okay? So once again, I'm a narrow stance. I'm lining up with 80% of my weight on my left leg or my lead leg, okay? My hands, basically the ball's off my left heel or in the center of your stance, you know, depending on how open your stance is. I like to open my stance a little bit because I want to make sure I come across the golf ball a little bit, okay? So get in this position. I open the face. Now I'm going to just go about waist high here, okay? And then I'm going to, you see how my elbow gets in front of my sternum here as I start to turn? This allows me to get across the golf ball, come slightly outside in, but from the inside. The elbow keeps the club inside, and then I turn, which gives me a slightly outside in path, okay? And this will give you perfect pitch shots almost every single time, depending on how open you keep the face, or how square you keep the face, or shut down you keep the face. All your pitch shots will work great this way, okay? So loading up on the left, we're slightly ahead. We're coming about waist high. We're coming where our elbow's being shoved underneath us, and then we're going to come across the golf ball by 1%. Okay? And then you hear that solid sound. You see how easy it is for me to go through. I'm not hitting hard at it. I'm literally just kind of sliding the golf club across the golf ball and underneath it, okay? My hand stays open. I don't do this. I never close my hand. It always stays open as I turn to the left, okay? So this is a huge chipping stroke saver right here, okay? Absolutely huge stroke saver. It'll still feel like, as you're coming across it, like you're releasing, like pointing the club, but as long as your elbow is out in front of you and not this way, okay, as long as your elbow is not this way, your elbow is more underneath and your hand is underneath, you will hit fantastic pitch shots. This has been another stroke saver with Carey Hodsden with Common Sense Golf at X Golf Chesapeake. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I've got so much more for you. Stay tuned.